Welcome to the channel, guys. I'm just going to give you a quick mini update on the Audi R8. Some of you who watched my garage collection video that I made at the start of the year, I did highlight some of the issues predominantly with the paint on the R8 that I wished to get addressed. Well, all of those paint issues have actually now been addressed, so I'll just take you for a brief walk around the car where I'll point out obviously the paint before. Obviously, if you'd see the before, you will have to check out the garage roundup video at the start of the year. But obviously I can show you now how the paint is looking, and I'm pretty sure from this first initial shot, yeah, it looks like a Cadbury's wrapper. It looks incredible. But we'll start where the paint was worst inflicted, which it had some rather bad corrosion on the rear arch. Being an aluminium car, a lot of aluminium cars can suffer with this, especially supercars like Ferraris, Audis, Lamborghinis, McLarens, etc, etc. It can either be from the manufacturing process of the aluminium, where there is moisture in the aluminium from the factory, or in the case of the R8, they don't really have a manufacturing issue, but all of this area here had got all like what I would call cauliflower, all bubbly within the paint, because obviously it must have stone chipped back here, and which would have broken the paint, which then allows moisture ingress, and then of course eventually then that caused all the paint to bubble up. This was the worst impacted area of the car. So of course, whenever you're looking at any aluminium car, like an Alpine, an Audi, a Ferrari, they can all suffer this to different extents, but you want to go around all of the bottoms and all of the edges of the car, and you're feeling for any roughness or bubbliness, and that to check if there's any potential corrosion coming. This has all been done now. It was quite expensive because obviously to fix this they have to cut. To do it properly, you want to actually essentially cut the infected area out, or seriously rub the car down to bare metal to make sure you get all of that water ingress out, and then of course you've then got to paint and blend it. And obviously all of this has been painted here. Obviously you will see a colour mismatch here, but that is like that from the factory, because obviously this is plastic, that's aluminium. So obviously you don't get a perfect match on a plastic and an aluminium finish. But the actual blending of the paint here and that is, I'm very, very happy with it. The other areas which were kind of out of view, but made sense to get everything ticked off and done. The bottom of the doors are also suffering from corrosion. So again, maybe a stone chip, or when the door's been open, somebody's knocked it, and again, it's broken the paint, which has allowed water ingress, which will then eventually cause the bubbling of the paint. And then the other bit, there was a small patch on this rear arch, very small. There was a very small area here, but obviously nip it in the bud early, and we had the same issue on that bottom driver's door as well. It's very small areas, not really noticeable to anybody who wasn't aware it was there and not there. Apart from that rear arch was quite nasty. And then of course it made also a lot of sense that whilst the car was in the body shop and the paint was obviously mixed, was to get the bonnet resprayed, because the design of the R8 bonnet, it's a one piece clamshell style. So obviously the wings, the bonnet is all one piece, it all opens as one unit, and it's incredibly prone to stone chipping because of that low sloping bonnet. So obviously, whilst the paint was mixed, whilst it was in the body shop, I said, hey, can you also give the bonnet a blow over, get rid of all the stone chips, because it was really badly peppered in stone chips. Because we do a lot of driving tours in this car, and of course when you're on a driving tour, there may be a group of you're going at a relatively fast pace, and of course you get stone chips, etc, etc. Stuff happens when you're obviously enjoying cars or driving them with an element of pace. So the bonnet was very badly stone chipped. So the bonnet's been fully repainted, and if I tried to get in close with that sun, obviously after the bonnet was painted, I allowed the car to sit for a month, just to allow to any of the paints to gas off, etc, etc. Then once a month had passed, I cleaned the bonnet using like panel wipe, so an alcohol-based cleaner solution. And then I've polished the bonnet, done a stage 2 correction on the bonnet. So if I go up to the bonnet here, you can kind of see me holding the camera here, my reflection in the bonnet. It's like a mirror, it's glass. And if I scroll up to where the sun is hitting the bonnet there, you can see the paint is totally swill free. So say I've done a machine polish on the car using Auto Bright product. I used a medium cut and then a final finishing cut just to get that like perfect finish, so there's no swirl marks, there's no holograms. The paint is absolutely fantastic. But then it would be daft to spend all that money getting the car painted and polishing it to then just drive it down the road and get another stone chip, because the paint on these bonnets is quite soft. So then of course 4 or 5 weeks had passed, I'd done my polishing, so I've also had the bonnet now wrapped in XPEL PPF, so self-healing PPF, which just basically means that now that polish, that perfect clarity of the paint is now locked in. And if stones hit the bonnet, they're not going to chip the paint unless it's like a ginormous rock. But in theory, the PPF will protect the paint. My McLaren's got PPF. The PPF did a fantastic job at protecting the paint. So even if you get like chips or marks in the PPF, it will only be in the PPF. So now I'll just run you down some of the cost. So to have the bonnet resprayed and redone was about £600 plus the VAT, which I think is very reasonable. But what made the car expensive was the corrosion repairs. So obviously it went into the garage, he did all the corrosion, he painted all of the car, and he also, because there is a video of my channel where I show you how to adjust the handbrake, but that was only a temporary fix on this car. So it turned out the actual handbrake pads were totally all seized up and were no longer functioning as they should. So he also did that. But my total bill was about £2,400. But again, I still think that's good value for money, because as a painter, his painting skills are fantastic. And if anyone's like looking for a good painter, that's JR Brassey in Stoke-on-Trent. Look them up on Google and you'll be able to find them. He's a quality painter. And for the PPF, I went to a company called Signature Detailing, who did the XPEL full bonnet coverage, and that was £720, including the VAT. So it's a lot of money. We're talking £3 all in, but it's now got this R8 looking like it's just rode out the showroom. In fact, they don't come out the showroom looking that good. I mean, I have literally gone through this car with a fine tooth comb. I've polished all of the paint. There is a 5-year ceramic coating on there, so we've got that locked in. I've also been through the interior, washed all the carpets, treated all of the leather. It smells absolutely glorious inside the R8 now. I shall open up the door. For those of you who've not seen the R8 on the channel before, it's obviously the correct one. It is a manual. Some of you will be like, why didn't you buy the V10? I actually prefer the slower V8 because you can drive it really hard and you're generally not breaking the speed limit, or certainly not by the extent you would be in the V10 model. Also has the Audi wingback bucket seats. This is actually a full Audi exclusive car. And you can see there from the badge. So I like my special edition cars. I like my very highly spec'd cars. And this is one of them. It's about £104,000 new 16 years ago. So if you put that into one of those converters that tell you what money's worth today, it's probably like £160,000 to buy this car today, if they were still obviously building these Gen 1 models in today's money. It's one of the biggest bargains, obviously. Lots of videos on my channel, it didn't cost a lot, this car, relative for what you get. But it's velvet purple and I just think it looks incredible. I'm going to give you one walk around of the car. I'm going to end you the video there because this was just a mini update. I mean, fingers crossed, touch wood, this car still had no issues at all. It's had, we'll be 2 years ownership this November. We've done about 5,000 miles in it, which is mostly road trips and daily commuting. But yeah, it is an absolutely stunning spec with the silver and the silver wheels. They contrast beautifully with the velvet purple. Of course, you've got the engine on display there. It's I mean, hopefully with the work that's now been done on the car, we've now got another 10 years of keeping that paint in that glorious condition. And obviously in another 10 years time, this car will be over 25 years old. So I think it's a timeless design, the original Gen 1 R8. These things are only going to go up in money, especially these Gen 1 manuals in such a high spec. I mean, this car hasn't depreciated at all. In fact, this car's appreciated for what I paid for it and what I could sell it for today. I'd probably be making not far off £10,000 profit on it, but absolutely no plans to sell it. Absolutely love this car, and that's why I spent the money on it and getting it cosmetically looking absolutely perfect. As always, thank you for watching. Please do like and subscribe to the channel.